There is so much more to the fairy known as the leprechaun than you know. This fascinating fairy has been hijacked and replaced with a false and fickle stereotype. To really understand the leprechaun, we must look closer with open minds to see past the cartoon image. So here are just 2 examples of leprechauns displaying both mental and physical ingenuity. These accounts were collected in Ireland and published in 1938. The leprechaun is a very small man. He is also called the small-sized brownie in this district. He is about 2 feet high and is a very funny-looking little being. He dresses in a brown suit and wears a little red cap on the top of his head. He lives in the fields, but he keeps very near to the ditches. His greatest occupation is mending shoes, and it is said that he grinds meal too, but it is not known how he does it. There are plenty of people in this district who saw a leprechaun, but I never heard of anyone in this district catching him. They are looked upon as friendly because it is said that they helped many people long ago. If they were hungry and a person gave them something to eat, they would tell you where gold was hidden. I was told this story about the leprechaun in our district. One evening, a woman from this district was milking and she heard the sound of a hammer in the corner of the field, and when she had the milking finished, she went over to the ditch to look, and there she saw a little man and knew at once that he was the leprechaun. She walked quietly up to him and, catching him in her apron, said that she would not set him free until he would tell her where there was gold buried. The leprechaun said nothing for a while. Then, all of a sudden, he said, "Oh, look at the house on fire." And the woman looked round to see it. While doing so, the leprechaun jumped out of her apron and ran away. Long ago, there lived an old man in the village of Wingfield. His name was John Boyle, and this is the way he told the story of how he caught the leprechaun. One night, this man stayed out visiting very late, and as he was coming home, he saw a leprechaun sitting inside the fence, and he had a shoe on his knee. When John saw him, he stood and looked at him for some time. At last, the leprechaun got up and began to run around the field, and John ran after him, and they were running around and round the field for some time, but John could not catch him. Eventually, he stood up on the fence so that he could see where the leprechaun went. Then he took off his jacket and his vest because he thought he would be able to run much faster and that he might catch the leprechaun. So he left his jacket and his vest on the fence after him, and he ran off as fast as he could after the leprechaun. But the leprechaun kept running across the fields and John after him, and at last John was getting tired, and when the leprechaun saw that John had stopped running, it ran across the field until it came to the fort. There he went into the fort, and John saw him no more. John slowly made his way back to the fence to retrieve his jacket and vest, and it was morning by the time he reached his home, exhausted and sorry. What do you make of leprechauns? I'll share more stories in coming videos. And don't forget that I post shiny new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Now, some people have noticed that they're not being notified when a new video is available, so please check your notifications to make sure that you're subscribed, but also that that bell is selected. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Until next time, stay curious and be kind. Cheerio!